What is going on, everybody? It is the Wednesday edition of the PrizePicks Prop Show here at FTNFantasy.com. My name is Zach Graham, aka Kaweisenberg, DFS. Not just ready to dive into tonight's NBA and WNBA prop offerings, but also celebrating some big news for my favorite soccer team this morning here in Austin. So we'll leave the soccer talk in the rear view. Appreciate you all coming in, tuning in today, whether you're catching me live or on the replay. Hit that like button as you're jumping in here on YouTube. Apparently all the MLB picks off the board at PrizePicks right now. I do not know what's going on with that, but good to see our buddy Alex there in the chat. Was yesterday a little bit frustrating with those NBA props because from the NBA side on the stream yesterday, we had the Tatum less than points, we had the Siakam less than turnovers, and both of those hitting at the end of regulation and then overtime. So, sometimes that ball doesn't bounce our way, and we'll get right back after it tonight. And Alex saying, yeah, scared of us. No other explanation. I think that makes the most sense to me as well. So before we get to the tool here on Wednesday, again, feel free to fire any comments or questions you have into that YouTube chat, and we can definitely discuss any props that you all may have your eyes on. Before we get into today's picks, again, as always, if you have not signed up yet at PrizePicks, I don't know what you're waiting for. So head over to PrizePicks if you haven't yet. Sign up using the promo code FTN. That will get you a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. And then, of course, as I always remind you, you can build similar, if not the exact same plays that we talk about here on PrizePicks over at Underdog Fantasy. And Underdog now has this new customer special. So if you sign up at Underdog, use the promo code FTN. That's going to get you a 50% deposit match bonus up to $250 with their first time deposit offer. And for new customers, you're going to get a special discounted pick. So head over to Underdog, take advantage of that offer. And then if you have not yet, the Sleeper app. You can download the Sleeper app and at sign up, use that same promo code FTN, and you will get a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100 over with Sleeper. So again, if you have not signed up at any of those sites, any and all of those sites yet, head over there, take advantage of those offers and build your bankroll. Then head over to FTN Fantasy again, where despite the bad luck on the NBA side last night, things keep rolling. Again, I think we had that 6 for 6 from Alex on Sunday. I did see our boy Jay Wynn pick up 2 big cards, big wins in the PrizePicks streets last night. Looks like he had some WNBA props in there, some esports props. So again, we've already had some NHL props and a video with the reasoning behind the picks from the great Chris Meany this morning on the NHL playoffs side of things. And of course here, when you got me, you're going to get some basketball props. So let's go ahead and jump in to the picks here on Wednesday. And the first one I'm going to is PJ Washington, less than 1.5 turnovers. Obviously, PJ, unless you have not been tuning into the NBA postseason, we know that he's taking on not just a bigger role, but a huge role here in the playoffs for the Mavericks, averaging 35.4 minutes per game. And in terms of his turnover numbers, 1.3 per game through the 12 games so far in this postseason. The turnover rate through those 12 games, 9.7%. That's well below his career rate of 11.6. And he's also been under this number in 7 of the 12 playoff games. And then, of course, for good measure, we can go over to the PrizePicks prop tool here at FTN Fantasy. The NBA side, obviously, MLB also available on Washington, projected for 1.19 turnovers here in game 1 against the Wolves. So we're going to lock that in as our first pick of the day. Tool giving it a 67.1% chance of hitting. So we like that PJ prop. And then I want to stay with the same team and shout out to the great Alex Blickel. Like I mentioned frequently here on the stream, typically in the mornings, Alex and I, behind the scenes, kind of talking through some of our favorite plays of the day. And this is one that he pointed out to me. And I think Alex is spot on here with Derek Jones Jr. more than 1.5 stocks. Through his 12 playoff appearances, again, teammates with PJ there, Jones Jr. averaging 1.8 stocks, and he's been over this number in 8 of the 12 postseason games. I don't foresee a drastic reduction in his role or his minutes allocation tonight from Coach Kidd going up against this Minnesota team, considering who's on the other side. According to some, the next Michael Jordan. If you know me, I don't really buy into that type of hype, but it's not a knock against Ant. But so again, with Derek Jones Jr. here, we talked about what he's done so far this postseason. And then, of course, we always want to look at the FTN data model. In the tool, we have blocks and steals, but not stocks, right? Your blocks and steals together. But I can give you the peek behind the curtain. If you are not an FTN Fantasy subscriber, the model has Derek Jones Jr. for slightly more than 2 stocks here on Wednesday. So I want to lock that in as our second pick. And Alex chiming in with some of his rationale here as well. He says, if anything, he thinks Derek Jones Jr. has to play a little bit more to match the length and athleticism that the Wolves are putting out there. And again, I'm right there with him in terms of the Jones Jr. play. And now let's hit the fantasy scoreboard. We're always going to do that here, at least take a peek at the offerings. And now let's get to the Wolves side. And I'm going to Naz Reid. His fantasy score prop is set at 18.5 today on PrizePicks. And certainly when you get into a new series, coaches, especially if you're just coming off of a grueling 7-game series against the defending champs, 4 of those games happening in the elevation. Obviously, they've had a few days off here. But you can expect to see these rotations loosened up just a touch compared to what you see in a game 5, 6, or 7 of a series. So I think I feel very, very secure about Naz Reid, his role here tonight. I do think, and this is another kind of coming from the conversation, the back and forth between Alex and I this morning, it's certainly an easier matchup in terms of the front court coming off of the Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic front court there, really on both sides of the court. And that's not a knock to what Dallas has done. Their defense in the paint has really throttled up since the trade deadline, but I'm certainly not as nervous about this front court of Gafford and PJ Washington and Derek Lively. Again, it's no knock to those guys. But Naz Reid here, again, a nicer matchup. FTN model has him right around 20.5 fantasy score. And I do think there's upside here, even setting aside the likelihood that Karl Anthony Towns still gets into foul trouble, I would think, in multiple games in this series. So I think, again, there's upside for Naz Reid from it's game 1 standpoint. We maybe cycle those guys through in the front court a little bit more. We'll talk more about the DFS aspects of these rotations later on today in the Discord. But I do like the more than selection here on Naz Reid, more than 18.5 fantasy points. And then let's go to the other side of this game, but stick with the fantasy score, jumping back to the Mavericks. And look, I know he was, especially for Kyrie, very passive relative to, I think, what we typically expect out of Kyrie, especially in the last 3 games of that series. Really found that the shot attempts, right, were there. The efficiency was not in that closeout game against the Thunder. The peripherals were not there, but I'm looking to go back now that this line has come down, right? Middle of last series, we were seeing Kyrie Irving being posted in the low 40s in terms of fantasy score. OKC is no slouch on defense, and clearly Minnesota is in their own tier at the moment on the defensive side of the ball. But I want to side with the talent here and the line that is just a couple points too low. Through the 12 playoff games, Kyrie is over this number in 7 of them. Our FTN model has him for around 38.5 fantasy score. And again, this is just a 4.5 point spread. Last I looked, I'm going to pull up on DK here again. Yeah, still 4.5 in favor of the Timberwolves. So this game is expected to remain competitive throughout. And that's pretty close to the spread we saw in game 1 of that last series, where again, Dallas takes that series in 6. So I like the more than selection on Kyrie here. And I do have one more. We want to pivot over to the WNBA side, but let me check in on the comments here, see what I'm missing. Zed in here. Good to see Zed. Zed, an active member in the FTN Fantasy Discord channels. Derrick Jones Jr. fantasy score. Let's check out what the model thinks. His prop right now on the fantasy score side of things, I actually don't see one. Zed says we need flat earth Kyrie out there. I don't disagree with you. Alex saying he doesn't like the Derrick Jones Jr. fantasy score as much. I don't see that on my board right now. So what was it, fellas? Because I don't see a Derrick Jones fantasy score. For what it's worth, I can pull up what the model has here momentarily. Get that to load. Get a little scroll. FTN model, Zed has him at 22.1 PrizePicks fantasy score. So again, it looks like that line may have come down in the last few minutes. But let me know where it was at. So I don't think I hate it, but I think I'm in lockstep with Alex, where I'd rather take the stocks prop rather than his fantasy score here tonight, because he can be out there for 30 plus minutes, and we've seen it plenty. 1 for 10, 2 for 12. Derrick Jones Jr., not the player with the highest offensive acumen out there. So I would also lean towards the stocks prop. But let's close it out here today on a Wednesday with a 5th pick, just one game in the WNBA here tonight. We've got the Storm taking on the Fever. So we are going to go to Caitlin Clark and take the more than on her 3.5 3-pointers made. If you're looking at the WNBA board right now, you're not going to see a ton posted because we have a Q tag on Nneka Ogwumike, and that obviously with the front court there is I understand why they're holding off. So you do get some props up there for the backcourt and Jewel Lloyd and Skylar Diggins-Smith, but I want to stick with the young phenom, the number 1 overall pick from last month's draft. Clark has taken, in her 4 regular season appearances so far on this young season, she's taken 11, 7, 10, and 7 3-point attempts, again, across those first 4 regular season appearances. She's been over this 3.5 number twice. In the 2 games that she didn't get over this number on, she lost time to blowout in the first, or her second game, right? 36-point loss in that one. And then foul trouble last time out, which gave her her lowest minutes total of the 4 appearances so far, a little over 27. And of course, it's not, Cheryl Swoops would let us know, right? It's not a 1-to-1 comparison coming from the NCAA ranks up to the W. But last season, which was just a couple of months ago now, Caitlin Clark was averaging 13.6 3-pointers attempted per game in her senior season, knocking down 5.2 a game at 37.8%, or at a 37.8% clip. And through these first 4 games, she's just 34.3%. Again, it is a very small sample size, and I'm looking at those 3-pointers attempted in the games where she's staying out of foul trouble and they are not getting run off the court. They have played all 4 of their games against the Liberty and the Sun, which are slightly higher profile teams than they will see here in the Storm tonight. The Storm are 5.5-point home favorites here. So this is, again, expected to remain in the balance through all 40 minutes here. And if we look, again, it's a small sample here early in the season. The Storm are allowing the 3rd most 3-point attempts per game at 25.8 through their first 4 games. So I'm riding with Caitlin Clark here tonight. This will be the first time all season that I have taken this prop or a prop at all on Caitlin Clark. But I'm certainly with it tonight here with that spread at just 5.5 in favor of the home team. So good to see Zed still tuned in. got his answer there. And that'll do it for us here this morning, everybody. Just running back through the 5 picks we had here on stream. We've got PJ Washington, less than 1.5 turnovers. We've got Derek Jones Jr., more than 1.5 stocks. We've got Naz Reid, more than 18.5 fantasy score. Kyrie Irving, more than 36 fantasy score. And then from the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, more than 3.5 3-pointers made. And Albert, I'm on top of it, my friend. There you go. A little review of the 5 picks we had here today. And I appreciate all of you, whether you caught it live or on the replay, for tuning in and sticking with me here on the Wednesday edition of the PrizePicks Prop Show at FTNFantasy.com. We are back tomorrow. Alex will be back tomorrow, and Alex dropping a note in here before we shut it down. Once the MLB picks are back up on the board, he's going to drop all of his 6-pick plays in the Discord channel here at FTN Fantasy. So again, VIP plus subscription at FTN Fantasy, $299.99 for the year. So right around $25 per month annually. And that gets you access to everything we have here under the FTN Fantasy umbrella. You get access to all of our projections, advanced statistics, all 3 of our Discord servers. So if you're an FTN subscriber, you're going to get those Alex Blickel MLB plays today. And if you don't like all 5 of the plays that I dropped here, you're not as strong, not feeling these plays as much as I am here this morning. Again, if you're an FTN subscriber, you can mix and match with some of those plays that Blickel will be dropping here shortly. And you will see Alex on this stream tomorrow. I'll be back on Friday. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking with me. And of course, good luck tonight, everybody.